They've tried every single thing they can over and over and over and over again. They have tried, ladies and gentlemen, to unseat and get rid of the top of the ticket for the GOP by bankrupting him, by trying to throw him in jail, and by not giving him proper security at his rallies. I mean, this is just flat out disgusting. This makes my skin crawl. This is the kind of stuff that really tells you everything you need to know about this party and who they are, right down to their core. What person in their right mind would deny a former president running again the proper security at a rally or for any campaign event unless you're so grossly Machiavellian and political that you think that maybe you can hold him back. Maybe he won't go and do those rallies. I mean, that was part of the strategy, right? They tied him up in law, courts, lawsuits all day long. Every day he had to be in court. He couldn't go and campaign because he was stuck there listening to Judge Merchan. And now they did this. Take a look at the reporting from the Washington Post. This coming out just over the weekend. Secret Service said to have been denied, or said to deny, requests for more security at Trump events. They were the first to break this story. The New York Times followed. Top officials repeatedly rejected requests from Trump's security detail for more manpower and gear at events before the attempted assassination, at times citing lack of resources. People familiar with the ask said, not okay. Okay, not okay. That was another form, in my estimation, of election interference. They didn't want him to campaign, so they held back the resources, thereby putting in jeopardy our entire nation, the integrity of our nation. If our politicians aren't safe because you've got other politicians that are too bitter and too selfish and too competitive to even offer the other side the proper resources so that they can engage in the political atmosphere and go out and campaign, what kind of society do you have? This is really, I mean, this just got to me. I think I tweeted out, like, this is just sick. It's sick, sick stuff. So the New York Times and the Washington Post did some reporting on this. And what's fascinating is that originally we heard, no. We gave them everything they needed. Everything they needed. They asked for something, they got it. Except that wasn't the case. The reporting reflects that. And guess what else? Chuck Grassley came forward with a whistleblower complaint. He writes in this letter, I think we have it. We can throw it on the screen here for you. My office has received legally protected whistleblower disclosures that include records of communications between and among Secret Service personnel. The records include communications from July 11th, 2024 that show First Lady Jill Biden received 12 Secret Service personnel for post standing for her event in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on July 13th, 2024. So she had some dinner in Pennsylvania on the 13th. And she got 12 members of Secret Service. Guess how many Donald Trump got? You're not going to believe this. A rally with tens of thousands of people. He got 3. 3. And so Chuck Grassley wants to know why he's getting 3 and Jill's getting 12. This is a fair question, an important question. Reporting over the weekend in Real Clear Politics. This came out just last night, where they're highlighting this letter because this is coming up. This is coming up big time this week as we watch this head of Secret Service, Kim Cheetle, get just hammered, as she should be. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. What happened to Ronald Reagan's head of Secret Service when they had an attempt on his life? He resigned because it's the right, honorable thing to do, but there's no honor in these people. Remember that. They have no honor. There's no respectability. So she's sitting up there defiant there, listening to Congress, taking it all in and saying, no, I'm not going to resign. She's not going anywhere. Despite having put President Trump's life in danger. I'm not having this. This is bad, bad, bad stuff. Just ethically wrong. James Comer giving her the Inquisition. Watch.
Which were assigned to President Trump on the day of the rally.
Again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the numbers of personnel that we had there, but we feel that there was a sufficient number of agents assigned.
There are reports that several agents assigned to the rally on July 13th were temporary agents, agents not normally assigned to President Trump. Is that accurate?
What I can tell you is that the agents that were assigned to former President Trump are Secret Service agents that provide close protection to him, and that was what was actual on that day.
How many temporary agents were there that day?
Quite frequently, sir, during campaign events, the Secret Service utilizes agents from HSI or the Department of Homeland Security.
You don't know how many?
Supplement our plan.
Have the investigators reconstructed the shooter's precise movements over?
Oh, it just goes from bad to worse. I'm looking at Nancy Mace. I mean, they are just all over this woman. And you know what? It's the right thing to do because somebody has to be accountable here. There's no accountability. She came from PepsiCo, super woke company run by Indra Nooyi. So she's a super woke person from this woke company. And Dr. Jill handpicked her to run the Secret Service. And her priority apparently is not keeping people safe. No. It's diversity, inclusion, equity. She told CBS News that much. Watch.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030 and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, which for the first time includes a former president who already has lifetime protection. Agents were there when Donald Trump was arraigned in New York.
We were able to work out the details ahead of time of how that particular day was going to go, but we will always ensure the safety of all of our protectees that we have.
The service has a zero-fail
mission.
Right.
Okay, yeah, right. You heard her. Her priority is diversity, equity, inclusion. She's so proud that she has increased the number of Secret Service women personnel. You know what? I don't care. By the way, these days, they shouldn't either, right? Because it doesn't matter. You're a woman, you're a man. Who the heck cares, right? Like, we don't go by those labels, right? I mean, they want to have their cake and eat it too. Think about that. They want to increase the number of women, all while apparently you don't need to identify as a woman. Go figure. I mean, they just wrap you in knots, don't they? Anyway, Kim Cheetle, woman that she is, cares more about diversity, if you ask me, or at least about covering Dr. Jill's hide, her real boss, than she does about protecting the President of the United States. And when you talk about conspiracy theories, you know what? That's the real conspiracy theory, that they didn't bother to give him the resources he needed in order to campaign. Why? Political reasons. They wanted to stop him in his tracks. And then you have someone who's focused on all kinds of things other than what she should be, as Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, so eloquently pointed out. Watch him here.
No, ma'am, that is not your top priority. We want the most capable officers, regardless of gender. Their job is protection, not diversity. And I think that was such a frustrating thing for people to see, especially in light of the lapses that took place apparently last weekend. So that's the backlash. There's a lot of frustration. And Jake, it's not just Republicans. It's people across the board who just don't understand why these basic tasks could not be taken. Remember, Director Cheetle also said the reason no one was on that roof that day was because of the slant of the roof, and she was worried about the health and safety of her agents. I mean, that makes no sense to us whatsoever. I've got my own security detail through the Capitol Police. those guys would go on a roof that was a 90-degree angle. You know, I don't understand what her responses are initially. They don't make sense to people, and she has a lot to answer for.
You bet she does. You know, Josh Hawley, he went and checked out the slope of that roof, did a little reporting of his own. I appreciate it. Let's check out Senator Josh Hawley, who has a few things to say about this nonsense about the slope of a roof, protecting your agents instead of protecting the guy you're supposed to protect, for goodness sakes.
See behind me, this is the roof the shooter was on. It is a very low roof, and it is very close to the fairground. I mean, it's right here. The president's stage was right over there, 150 yards or something away. And it's no wonder people could see him, because this roof is low, this building is really close in, and it's totally exposed. I mean, right where I'm standing, there were gobs of people. So it's no wonder that lots of folks saw him. The question is, why didn't law enforcement see him get on the roof? Why didn't they see him on the roof? Why didn't they go up and confront him before he started shooting, or before he got on the roof when he was all in this area? It's so close together, it's hard to understand.
A lot of questions. Why? Why wasn't Donald Trump, by the way, told of this potential threat? Apparently they had intelligence that suggested the Iranians were after him, and that's why they upped his security after the fact. Oh, thank you very much. I guess that was a clever way to do it. But anyway, they had intelligence on this particular kid. Don't forget, the shooter was spotted multiple times with a rangefinder, a hunting device similar to a pair of binoculars that calculates distance prior to the shooting. It turns out that the police had actually circulated a photo of him that they had taken. By the way, they're relying on local, nothing against local law enforcement, but they're not Secret Service. And they're relying on local law enforcement. Why? Because Kim Cheetle won't give them the resources they need in order to have these rallies. So apparently some 19 minutes before this shooting occurred, law enforcement was trying to locate him again. And then they couldn't find him until he was on the roof. And then they did find him. And all the people were like, I've shown you that tape. And they're like, hey, look who's on the roof. And no one took him out. Like, what the heck went down there? Why would no one have taken him out? He was clearly a threat. So they knew that the guy was there. They knew that there was a threat. And did they bother to tell the former president of the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen? No. Watch him. Here, Donald Trump speaking with Jesse Waters on Fox News.
Mistakes were made. They were monitoring this guy for an hour beforehand. Yeah. No one told you not to take the stage?
No, nobody mentioned it. Nobody said there was a problem. And I would have waited for 15. They could have said, let's wait for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, something. Nobody said, I think that was a mistake. How did somebody get on that roof? And why wasn't he reported? Because people saw that he was on the roof. I mean, you had Trumpers screaming, the woman in the red shirt. She was screaming, there's a man on the roof. And then other people said, there's a man on the roof who's got a gun. And that was quite a bit before I walked onto the stage. So you would have thought somebody would have done something about it.
They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. And it's an absolute miracle that Donald Trump is still alive today. And frankly, it's some kind of twisted miracle that Kim Cheetle still has a job. I mean, the woman needs to resign. Full stop. Mayorkas, whom she reports to, needs to be impeached again. This is serious stuff. They went way too far this time. And when I say they, I mean the Biden administration that refused resources to the Trump campaign to properly manage all of these threats that he faces when he's on the campaign trail. They didn't want to give him the resources because they didn't want him to campaign. This is why they tied him up with 91 counts against him. This is why they tried to bankrupt him and seize his properties. This is why they tried to put him in jail. Think of that. And then think what they just did with Kamala Harris. You know, we're not going to let them get away with it. We're not going to allow that. We here on the Trish Regan Show, I personally will not allow it. Look, I have no bone in I'm a registered independent because I will vote for anybody who's going to cut taxes and keep us safe, all right? There, I said it. JFK cut taxes. I don't believe in partisan politics the way these lefties clearly believe. They are so obsessed with him not winning, and he's got good ideas and good policies, and he grew our economy. And we'd reduce inflation again. Imagine that, because you'd have somebody who was smart enough to recognize that, oh boy, maybe I shouldn't shut off the energy markets all at once. Maybe that might actually cause the price of goods to go up. If I'm going to get into a squabble with Russia and I'm going to say no more nat gas coming out of Russia, guess what? I better be prepared with a little nat gas of my own back here in the good old US of A. It's not that hard. These people are just too political. We need real people with real ideas that get business. I mean, I'm so sick of it. The DEI stuff on steroids, to think that the head of Secret Service is more concerned about whether she stacked it with enough women as opposed to actually thinking about who's going to protect the former president of the United States of America. That's just wrong. I mean, it's a big part. Listen, the DEI stuff, the ESG stuff, it's a big, 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 big part of why I created 76 Research. This is my financial research firm, because I see a lot of these trends and I spot them. And so many people have said to me over the years, Trish, well, how do I invest? How do I negotiate the space? What do I do? Where do I start? What stocks do I pick? I mean, look, there's a lot of stocks out there. There's a lot of companies out there. So how do you go about knowing where to go? Well, I have a pretty good macro sense of things. I also happen to have a very good friend in Rob Horton, longtime friend, who's absolutely brilliant, great stock picker, has picked stocks for more than 20 years on Wall Street, run billions of dollars. And he and I had talked a lot at length about, I feel like I have to do something for my viewers, for all of you guys out there that are, understandably struggling. You look at the S&P, right? It's just skyrocketed over the last 10 years. Well, if you weren't partaking in that in any way, you've lost out. And there is an imbalance between labor and capital that's gotten so severe. I still say capitalism is the best system, right? But this is a real thing. It's a real thing. And so consequently, those with the money, they're controlling everything. And they say, oh, you know what, we can outsource this cheaper overseas. And so labor consequently gets reduced in its value. And so part of the way to solve for this, I think, on an individual level, is to at least partake in the equity markets yourself so that you're capturing that upside. I mean, you may be working, and you probably are working really hard for a living. More power to you, but you gotta be disciplined. You've got to. I don't care if it's just $5 a week or $10 a week, because there's some real value in compounding all that money you're going to hopefully make over time. Now, Rob and I have a very steady Eddie kind of approach, because I'm not somebody who believes in get rich quick. I believe in picking solid companies, good companies that aren't what they call high beta. In other words, this is like the opposite of, if Donald Trump is the high beta candidate, this is like the boring. Not to I love Ben Carson, but this is like the Ben Carson approach, right? Like we're really slow and steady. And there's value in that. There's value in that, because as exciting as NVIDIA is, you're going to have a lot of ups and you're going to have a lot of downs. And so what I really, in my own personal life, in terms of my personal style of investing, what I try and do for myself is to find these really good companies and to hold them over time, because this is how you make money in the long run, really. And so Rob is brilliant at this. He's just a fantastic stock picker. Absolutely fantastic. And we get some great names. We just added another name to the American Resilience portfolio. You can get the 76 report. I got to get to the punchline, right? Because there's a special deal going on for Independence Day month, the month of July. Code word dollar. Just use code word dollar, DOLLAR, and you're going to get it for $1 a month. Imagine that. And you get some good stock picks in there, ladies and gentlemen, for $1 a month, and superb research. This is best in class. I would not say otherwise. I mean, it's, when you put your name behind financial research and you sign the letters and you partake in the writing of these things, you care very much about its quality. This is real quality. So it's just $1 a month, but this is in part my sort of gift to you, in that I want you to start doing this. I want you to start investing. It's $1 a month for the first 2 months. You can cancel anytime. So really no skin off your back. And then after that, it goes to like $9.95. But it's $9.90. It's the best $9.95 you're gonna ever spend. And then if you want to do one of the model portfolios, I think if you add on one of the model portfolios, it works out to something like $23 extra. American Resilience. That's the growth portfolio. We just added a name. Actually, it's in the 76 report too. So again, 76report.com or 76research.com. Use code word dollar. Get that 76 report. Look at the American Resilience portfolio. Look at the inflation protection portfolio. Look at the income builder portfolio. And then if you get all three plus the 76 report, you get a super duper deal. So check all that stuff out, 76research.com. But this stuff is really wild.